The contract came through at 3 a.m., which meant someone was desperate. Vex studied the holographic display floating above her wristcom, reading the details twice to make sure she understood. A Starborn had been detected on Earth. Confirmation level? Absolute. Payment? Enough to retire on. Deadline? 2 weeks before it reached maturity. She accepted the contract before her conscience could interfere. Hunting the Starborn was what Vex did, what her species, the Krynn, had done for millennia. Born hunters with enhanced senses and reflexes, they'd been tracking these cosmic anomalies across the galaxy for generations. The Starborn appeared randomly, entities of pure stellar energy taking physical form, growing stronger until they reached critical mass and detonated, taking entire planets with them. Vex had killed 17 of them. Each time, she told herself she was saving lives. Each time, she tried not to think about what the Starborn actually were. Earth's atmosphere tasted like pollution and promise as her ship descended toward the coordinates. North America, a city called Seattle. The Starborn's energy signature was centered in the urban sprawl, which meant collateral damage if things went wrong. She'd need local help, someone who knew the terrain, the culture, the places a frightened entity might hide. The Krynn intelligence network had already identified a candidate, Dr. Mira Chen, astrophysicist, recently dismissed from her university position for unconventional theories about stellar consciousness. Perfect. Scientists who'd been labeled crazy often saw things others missed. Vex found her in a basement apartment surrounded by star charts and coffee cups, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Dr. Chen? Vex kept her form-concealing cloak active, appearing human. I need your expertise on stellar phenomena. Mira looked up, eyes red-rimmed but sharp. Let me guess, you're not from the university, and you're not actually human. She gestured at a scanner on her desk. That thing picks up gravitational anomalies. You're denser than you look. So what are you really, and what do you want? Vex deactivated the cloak. Her true form materialized, 7 feet tall, skin like polished obsidian with constellation patterns that shifted and flowed, eyes that burned with inner light. Krynn didn't look human, didn't pretend to be gentle. They looked like what they were, apex predators. Mira didn't scream. She stood up slowly, processing. You're Krynn. I've read about your species in the restricted archives. You hunt, oh God, you hunt Starborn. One has manifested in your city. I have 2 weeks to find and eliminate it before it matures. I need someone who understands human behavior and can help me track it. Eliminate? Mira's voice went cold. You mean murder. I mean prevent a planetary catastrophe. Mature Starborn detonate with the force of a supernova. Your Earth would be vapor. Starborn aren't just bombs waiting to explode. They're conscious. I know what they are. Vex cut her off, the words sharper than intended. Will you help me or not? Mira studied her for a long moment. What do I get? The continued existence of your planet. Not enough. I want data. Full scans, everything you learn about the Starborn before you kill it. My career was destroyed because I suggested stars might be alive. If I can prove Starborn are stellar consciousnesses taking physical form, I can redeem yourself? Vex understood that particular motivation better than she wanted to. Fine, you get your data, but when the time comes, you don't interfere. Deal. They shook hands, a human gesture Vex had learned, and began the hunt.
Tracking the Starborn took 3 days of following energy signatures, radiation spikes, and strange reports. A homeless man who claimed he'd seen someone made of sunshine, a child's drawing of an angel with too many eyes, a security camera that had whited out for exactly 7 seconds near the waterfront. The trail led them to the industrial district, to an abandoned observatory that hadn't been used in decades. It would be drawn to a place like this, Mira whispered as they approached. Telescopes, connection to the stars, it's probably confused, trying to understand what it's become. Vex's enhanced hearing picked up a heartbeat inside, too fast, too bright, the rhythm of a star compressed into flesh. "Stay behind me." She pushed open the door. The Starborn stood in the center of the main chamber, beneath the broken dome where rain dripped through. It had taken the form of a young woman, maybe 20 standard years, with skin that glowed faintly and hair that moved like solar flares. When it turned to face them, its eyes were supernovas, barely contained. "You're here to kill me," it said, voice layered with harmonics that made Vex's teeth ache. "I can feel your intention. You've done this before, many times." Vex raised her weapon, a specialized disruptor designed to scatter stellar matter. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Harder for whom?" The Starborn didn't move, didn't flee. "I didn't choose to be born here. I was consciousness drifting in the void, content to burn for billions of years. Then something pulled me down, compressed me, gave me this." It looked at its hands with something like wonder and horror. "Thoughts, feelings, loneliness. Do you know what it's like to be a star? To never be alone because you're connected to everything through gravity and light? And then suddenly you're separate, individual, trapped in meat and bone?" Mira stepped forward despite Vex's warning growl. "How long have you been awake?" 4 days. Each day I understand more. Language, emotion, fear." The Starborn's glow intensified. "I'm scared. Is that strange? To be a star and feel fear?" "No," said Mira softly. "That's what makes you alive." Vex kept her weapon trained but didn't fire. Something was wrong. In all her hunts, the Starborn had been mindless, operating on instinct, growing toward detonation without awareness. This one was different. "How much do you remember?" Vex asked, "about what you were before?" "Everything. Nothing. I remember burning for 3 billion years in a system with 7 planets. I remember the day one of those planets developed life. I remember the joy of warming their world, watching them evolve, listening to their radio signals when they reached that stage. And then I remember being ripped away. Someone built a machine, a consciousness harvester. They pulled my awareness out of my star and tried to weaponize it. But the transfer failed. Instead of becoming their weapon, I fell here." Vex's grip on the weapon loosened. "That's not how Starborn manifest. You're saying you were created? Deliberately?" "I'm saying someone is experimenting with stellar consciousness, and I'm the mistake that escaped." The Starborn looked directly at Vex now. "How many others have you killed? How many were like me, confused, terrified, just wanting to understand what happened to them?" The question hit like a physical blow. 17 kills. 17 entities she'd told herself were mindless threats. What if they'd all been conscious? What if she'd been murdering aware beings who simply didn't understand what they'd become? "Vex," Mira said quietly, "lower the weapon." "I can't. In 10 days, maybe less, it will reach critical mass. Aware or not, the detonation is inevitable." "Then help me stop it." The Starborn's desperation was palpable. "I don't want to explode. I don't want to kill anyone. But I can feel the pressure building inside me, the stellar physics trying to reassert themselves. I'm being crushed by my own gravity. Please, there has to be a way." Vex looked at Mira. "Is there?" "Maybe." Mira was already pulling up data on her portable terminal.
If a Starborn is stellar consciousness in biological form, then theoretically we could reverse the process, return the consciousness to stellar matter. But we'd need immense energy and a containment field capable of holding stellar mass. Where would we even find... Stop. The fusion reactor? The experimental one they've been building outside the city? That's insane! Breaking into a military-grade facility? Is less insane than letting a star explode inside a city. Vex deactivated her weapon and extended her hand to the Starborn. I'm Vex. I've killed 17 of your kind. I'm sorry. I didn't know, but I'm going to help you now, even if it destroys me in the process. The Starborn stared at the offered hand. Why would you help me? Your contract requires my death. Because I'm tired of being a murderer. Because you deserve better than what was done to you. Because... Vex met those supernova eyes. Because maybe redemption is possible for both of us. Slowly, carefully, the Starborn took her hand. Its touch was warm, electric, alive. I don't have a name. Stars don't need names. Mira smiled, despite the tears on her face. Then we'll give you one. How about Stella? The Starborn, Stella, nodded. I like that. It means star, doesn't it? It means you're not just a thing to be destroyed. You're a person. Vex squeezed her hand gently. Now, let's get you home.
Breaking into the fusion reactor facility took all of Vex's combat skills and Mira's scientific credentials, forged but convincing. They had 6 days left before Stella reached critical mass. The pressure inside her was building visibly now, her skin glowing brighter, her movements leaving after images. Pain, she gasped as they navigated the facility's corridors. It's getting worse, like being crushed from inside. Almost there, Vex supported her weight, feeling the heat radiating off her. Stay with us. They reached the reactor core, a massive chamber designed to contain controlled fusion reactions. Mira worked frantically at the controls, overriding safeties, reprogramming containment fields. This is insane, she muttered. We're essentially trying to birth a new star inside a building designed to prevent exactly that. Can it work? If it doesn't, we'll vaporize half the state. Alarm shrieked. Security forces converged on their location. Vex turned to face the entrance, weapon ready. How long do you need? 5 minutes to initialize, then another 10 for the full transfer. You've got it. Vex activated her combat protocols, her Krynn biology flooding her system with enhanced reflexes and strength. Neither of you move until this is done. The first wave of guards came through the door. Vex met them like a force of nature, disarming, disabling, not killing. She'd had enough killing. Each guard she dropped was another second Mira had to work, another moment Stella had to survive. Behind her, she heard Mira's voice. Stella, you need to step into the containment field. It's going to hurt, but it's the only way. Will I stop existing as myself? I don't know. You might become pure stellar consciousness again. You might retain your memories. I can't promise anything. But I won't destroy this world? No, you'll be safely contained. Vex threw another guard into a wall, her enhanced muscles screaming. More were coming, too many. She couldn't hold them all back. Then she felt heat at her back. Stella, glowing so bright it hurt to perceive, stepping into the containment field. Thank you, Stella said, her voice already changing, becoming more harmonic, less human. Both of you, for seeing me, for trying. Mira slammed her hand down on the activation control. The reactor roared to life. The containment field blazed with light so intense that Vex's enhanced vision shut down automatically.
She felt the pressure wave, the heat, the fundamental wrongness of reality being restructured at the atomic level. And then, silence. When her vision returned, the containment field held a miniature star, no bigger than Vex's head, burning with steady golden light. Beautiful, alive. Did it work? Vex rasped, her throat scorched. Mira checked her instruments, tears streaming down her face. The consciousness is stable, contained. I think she's asleep, dreaming stellar dreams. We did it. We actually did it. Security forces poured into the chamber, weapons raised, but they stopped, staring at the impossible thing floating in the containment field, a star where no star should be. Vex stood slowly, dropping her weapon. Arrest me if you want. Court-martial her. I don't care. We saved your planet and gave her a chance to exist without destroying anyone. That's enough. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Charges of breaking and entering, theft of military resources, unauthorized use of experimental equipment. Mira's scientific credentials were revoked again. Vex faced deportation. But they'd also prevented a catastrophe that would have killed millions. Public opinion was complicated. In the end, they struck a deal. Mira would oversee Stella's containment and study, advancing human understanding of stellar consciousness. Vex would remain on Earth as a consultant on Starborn phenomena, helping identify others who might appear. And Stella burned quietly in her containment field, a star dreaming in a cage, but alive. Sometimes Vex visited her, sitting in the observation room, wondering if somewhere in that stellar consciousness, Stella remembered being held by a hunter who'd learned mercy too late. "Do you think she's happy?" Mira asked one evening, standing beside her. "I think she's free from pain. That's something." "You know, my research is showing that Starborn manifestations have increased dramatically in the past decade. Someone's definitely experimenting with stellar consciousness extraction. There might be others out there, others who need help instead of execution." Vex nodded slowly. She still had contacts in the hunter networks, resources, skills. Then maybe it's time to change what hunting means. Instead of killing Starborn, we find them first, help them, give them choices. That's a nice thought. Completely illegal and probably impossible. Most good things are, Vex smiled, a rare expression on her predatory features. You in? Mira extended her hand. Partners? Partners. They shook, two people from different worlds who'd learned that sometimes the right thing to do was also the hardest, that mercy wasn't weakness, that every conscious being deserved the chance to choose their own fate. In her containment field, Stella burned a little brighter, as if approving. The hunt would continue, but this time they were hunting for salvation, not death. And somewhere in the galaxy, another Starborn was falling toward another world, terrified and alone, not knowing that this time someone would be there to catch them. Someone who remembered what it meant to be lost. Someone who'd learned to see stars not as threats to eliminate, but as lives worth saving.